Hello and welcome to our Street Soccer United podcast this week. I'm Keith Mabbott, the founder and CEO of the Street Soccer Foundation. And on today's show, I'm delighted to welcome Chris Newberry, Managing Director of Wildwood Media. Chris, to kick things off, could you just give us a brief little introduction to yourself?
Hi, I'm Chris Newberry. I'm the Managing Director of Wildwood Media. I also run two other sister companies, one called Wildwood Live, which specialises in live streaming for organisations, businesses and bands, and also the other one is Wildwood Films, which deals with the non-corporate side of our creative work, such as projects for film and TV.
Great stuff. So it was around about 20 odd years ago, was it? You went to the University for the Creative Arts to study for a degree in film and video production, I think. Had you always expected to make it to university, and was film and video production always something you wanted to do from a young age?
So just over 20 years ago, I went to university, which was, a really fantastic experience. It was a film course, which was, a kind of a big tick in the box for me, an initial bit of a dream coming true, if you like. I'd always been into film. I've come from a family of film fans for a couple of generations of it, so certainly I was always destined to be interested in film. But to kind of it become a career, I would have been the first in my family to do so. And it seemed, as I knew no one around where I was growing up that wanted to make films, the only way to make contacts and friends who we could make films together or talk about films in a deep, meaningful way, it seemed I had to go to university. At that point, I was the first in my family to go to university, or at least my close family. I was the older of the two of us. My sister had since went to uni and graduated a long time ago herself, but at that point, out of our immediate family, I was the first. So it was kind of it was a bit daunting there. I think it was a long time ago now, but yeah, I knew what I wanted to do since I was very young. I was making films since I was a kid, so it was always going to be something to do with film if I was lucky.
Funnily enough, Chris, I was actually the same as you. I was the first person in my family to ever get to university. So I totally get you on that point. But so when you graduated, you have since worked as a freelancer pretty much your whole life. I know you've worked on short films, corporate work, promos for models, feature films, all sorts. What would you say is your favourite type to work on, and why?
So I remember even before university, when I was in college, I was getting paid to do some work, which was like amazing at the time. One of our lecturers at college, this was Mid-Kent College in Maidstone, Oakwood Park, he put me forward to someone he'd heard in the council who needed some videos editing. They didn't have much budget, and he put me forward to edit it, which meant a lot. So that was kind of the first professional paid work I'd done. I'd done professional work on work experience, and I'd been making my own films with friends and obviously stuff on the college course, but in terms of actually getting paid, that was the first one. So that was quite special. I don't know if I appreciate it fully at the time, but looking back now, I guess I can say that was the first one there. So that was great. And then I'd done kind of paid freelance work off and on throughout university, depending on what I was doing on the course. If I wasn't actively seeking it, but people heard I liked to edit and film and would need stuff doing. Sometimes it was really cool. I got to do some work for an agency that helped with models. So I did a video for Kelly Brook and that, which when I was full-on professional times, at university, getting to do that over a summer was really fantastic. And then after university, I've done a number of video roles, both full-time jobs and freelance, filming, editing, producing, directing, everything. And then I've done stuff on the side, short films and all kinds of stuff, music videos, for friends with bands or whatever. So it's always something I've always done. And I think part of that is the realisation that I think like most work, but I can only speak from the work that I do, and that is to be good at it, you've got to keep You got to keep at it. You got to keep doing it. You got to really love it, and you only improve by keeping at it. Which is to say, to keep making mistakes, and then on the next video, maybe you won't make that mistake. So you'll be one step towards being better at what you do. I don't particularly have a favourite type of work though after all this. I mean, I guess if I did, it would be directing. I mean, I really love the creative process, and I love every aspect of it. So when you work on a larger production and you have so many brilliant people doing their roles, that the only real way to kind of feel like you're in touch with them all creatively is to be a director. So often when I'm working for Wildwood Media, I'll often be doing kind of a lot of different stuff depending on the budget, depending on the client. But on the bigger budget stuff, or the stuff outside of Wildwood Media, i.e. the film work we do with Wildwood Films, I like to direct when possible. And yeah, and that's something that I'm hoping to do more of in the future as well.
Well, Chris, look, the standout with all of what you've just said there, a video for Kelly Brook. I bet that was fantastic. Very lucky man. But great advice in there as well. To be good at it, you've got to really keep at it and keep practicing, and it's absolutely true. And obviously in the football world, within the foundation and my background, and for most things, you apply yourself and keep practicing, and that's obviously how you become better at your profession. But as you touched on there, Wildwood. So in 2014, you launched and created your own media production company, Wildwood Media. Why Wildwood, and what made you want to launch your own production company, and how did you get it off the ground?
So Wildwood Media, why Wildwood? I was the name I just spent. I'm someone who goes down the rabbit hole when trying to decide stuff. Really nervous about picking the wrong name, etc. And we'd already we decided we wanted to set up the company. I was really lucky. A few people had heard about it, including a big company called Photobox, who run Moonpig, and Vanity Fair as well. I had a contact there who, upon learning that we were setting up our own company, wanted us to do some work for them. So that was two amazing first clients to get through the door. But we didn't have a name, and I couldn't set up a business bank account. And I didn't want it to be named after me. I knew I wanted the company to be more than just myself, and to have the company to have an ethos and a personality of its own, and to grow. So I couldn't decide on the name, and very long story short, the night before we had to go to the bank, so I was literally like, I'm just going to call it my initials or whatever, just because I'd gone around the block so much. My partner said, well, why not Wildwood Media? And I don't know, it just sounded right. Just as she said it, I was just like, that just sounds correct. And since that moment, it's always sounded correct. Always saying it. It just, I don't know, I just feel so connected to it. It's as much a part of me as anything now. Why did I want to launch my own production company? Because it's something I'd always wanted to do. I mean, I just always wanted to make films, and the more control I have over what films we make, who we make films for, and how we make those films, obviously with respect to what the clients need, of course, but in terms of interpreting briefs and the direction I want the company and our projects to go in, the only way to get that was to run my own company. So I'd actually got made redundant from an organisation, and I used some of that money to startup capital to buy a couple of cameras and some initial gear. And as I said earlier, we had a couple of great first clients through the door. And then that kind of spurred on more work, and we were just really lucky with kind of word of mouth and the quality of the work we were doing, that we kind of went from one success to another. In fact, we got awarded in our first year Startup Business of the Year, because we'd got so many great clients in, like well-known clients, and also dealt with so many great local SMEs and charities and that, helping them with their video work, that yeah, after our first year we were pretty well set up and established, and I mean, that was 7 years ago now, so good times.
Startup Business of the Year in your first year, Chris, is just fantastic. Now, I know, obviously, your provision of video services to all types of businesses, as well as charities, and that's obviously where you and I got to first come to know each other. And I have to say, Chris, we haven't looked back since, we've been working with you. The videos you've created for us are just fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the next ones we can create together. But from all of what you've worked on over the past few years, are there any particular standout projects for you?
I don't know. I don't like to pick standout projects simply because I try and make every video stand out for the particular client or for that particular project. We have a lot of return clients, which always means a lot. So I would say it's the films that we make that actually feel like they're making a difference. It's more a type of project for me that stands out. Films that have a real purpose and meaning to them, and that can be different. That doesn't just have to be, for example, healthcare. You know, we do lots with the NHS, and I'm always honoured to work with them and do films, but it doesn't have to be with them or with charities. Obviously, we do all the videos for street soccer, which is one of the reasons I'm speaking to you today. And you know, obviously those videos mean a lot to me, but again, it could be for a business. If there's a real purpose to the video that is really gonna make a difference somehow to someone, to make their life a bit easier or make them aware of something or whatever it is, they're the videos that I come away and go, yeah, I really liked it. And obviously hand in hand with that is when we get to be truly creative, and sometimes we get to mix the two. And I know some of the videos we've done and we're talking about doing with street soccer, certainly I like that really excites me when we can kind of really go at it creatively but do a video that actually truly matters. That's always stand out.
I think what you're essentially coming around to say there, Chris, is that the street soccer videos are far and beyond the best you've ever done and love doing. But no bias intended, come on. But what about the creative process? When you deal with a client, how much involvement do you like to have, and kind of how much autonomy for what they want to achieve, and where do you get your ideas from?
So the creative process is obviously key. But the creative process for me isn't simply about how's the project going to look good. I mean, for me, that should be a given. It's what's the right way to go for this project. So again, you know, take street soccer. We've done a number of videos for you guys at Street Soccer now, and it's not, each video is dealt with differently and separately. We'll talk to you, the client, about how that video should be done. Like, what's the reason it's going to exist? I always ask that question. What is the reason this exists? What are you trying to do? Because it's not simply, you know, we want, you know, the one-liner would be, we want to make people aware of our service. Okay, that's great, but who are you trying to make aware? Because, you know, the different demographics, different styles, and what is it about the service? You know, the service is great, but what's the key takeaway? So we like to learn that, and then again, our creative process is really about planning. For me, that's so essential. The filming is great fun, and you know, there's always hiccups. You know, as soon as you start filming, an ice cream van will drive past, or some roadworks will happen where you're trying to do an interview. That happens. You can't control them. But in terms of what you can control, that should be dealt with in beforehand, in pre-production. So we're big on pre-production. Planning and scheduling, research, finding out about our clients, finding out about the service, the project, the product that they want to sell. So that is so important, and from that we then develop the creative approach to the film, because not every film should have a really great, really trendy angle, or really overly stylized, colors or whatever. Sometimes it just has to be really simple. Sometimes you can go crazy, and each one of them interests me and excites me. I'm always led by the client and what we're advertising, and then obviously I like to think that myself and my company, we bring to that our experience, and what we find there is usually, it seems, the right way to go. But our ideas are born from there. So, and in terms of autonomy, I like to work with my clients as much as they want to work with us. Some clients are quite hands-on. Some clients are, here's the project, you know, and away we go. And I'd still like to keep them, I tend to want to keep them involved as much as I can, even if it's just, look, we've done this, just, you know, what do you think of this? And not every day, and not hassling them, of course, but just letting them know what we're up to. I think it's important. And again, it makes sign-off easier. It saves getting to the end and then going, oh, this is different to what we thought. And it comes back to the pre-production again. If the pre-production has gone well, the planning has gone well, then there, by the time you get to the end, the sign off should be pretty simple because you've agreed everything in advance. Now hopefully you've had some wonderful magical moments while filming and editing that have improved things, and they might then need signing off. Oh, by the way, we added this because we thought this was really cool. And you know, sometimes people like that and sometimes people don't. That's fine. And that's why sign off exists. So that's, you know, that's quite key. So autonomy is important, that we are trusted by our clients, and I ask clients that come to us to trust us, but I like to think that we earn that trust in those early days with our questions and our meetings and how we build our relationships. And the final one I'll add to that, which fits in with street soccer, which fits in with NHS and a couple of other clients who we've worked with for a long time, and that is the understanding that we have of how those organisations work. So the fact that they can give us a brief, but actually the brief is somewhat simplified because we know the organisation so well and we know how to act around that organisation and potentially with their clients. So Keith can say to us, here's the brief, this is what I need, and there is a trust there that I know what the brand is, I know what street soccer want, I know how they want to come across, and then I can go in, and then any questions I have will be about that specific project. Why does this project exist? But in terms of who street soccer are, because I've worked with them so much, I know, and that will be naturally infused within the project, as it is with NHS, as it is with other clients of ours, such as Diagramma, which is another great charity we enjoy working with. So always it's about who the client is and why their video should exist.
The understanding of the brand and organisation in the first place, I mean, that's solid advice, Chris. But more so, knowing what the reason is for those videos to exist in the first place as well. I absolutely love that, and that's certainly something that I will take away from this already, this discussion with you, for us going forward. You know, it's to question ourselves before we even come to you with a brief. You know, why do we really want this video? You know, what is the purpose? What's the audience? You know, what's the message? It's great advice, Chris. Thank you for that. But what about the challenges? You must have faced, you know, a number of them since running your own business, and particularly with this lockdown we've all had to endure. Has it affected you and the company, and is it one of the biggest challenges you've faced? And how have you coped and dealt with it?
So the challenges of our business, well, I don't want to be really cliched and say challenges are opportunities, but I think we've been quite lucky that, well, there has been challenges, and I'll touch on a couple, but I don't know, I've always been really positive about what we can do with the business, about what I can bring to it, and then what others in my team can bring. So our challenges tend to be part of the fun of the job, and therefore I never really see them as challenges in the negative sense of the word. They're a fun part of the job to overcome, and I think when you're doing something you love, you know, people say when you're doing something you love, it's not work, and that's certainly the case here. And therefore the challenges aren't like, oh no, I've got to deal with this. It's like, okay, let's do it. Let's have some fun. How are we going to deal with this? So therefore the kind of the challenges that are outside of project stuff are often usual. You know, there's times when money might get a bit tight. That could be because of lockdown, that could be because we've just started and, you know, we've got a couple of clients in, which is great, but what's next? And sometimes it might be because we've had some kind of expansion. Might be new kit. You know, unfortunately, video equipment it isn't cheap. So sometimes if we're making a bit of an investment on the company, then it's just keeping an eye on the finances. So, you know, that's a challenge, and I think that's the same for a lot of businesses. One of the bigger lockdown one was we were going to move into bigger offices and more staff this year in 2020. And so we've put a pause on that because lockdown obviously greatly reduced our income. We still had some. We were working with the NHS a lot, which was fantastic. Again, coming back to those meaningful films, we were doing films to help with COVID, either training videos for internal the NHS or awareness films, and indeed we're still doing stuff as I record this in August. So that's great. But anyway, so a challenge at the moment, especially in terms of how lockdown has dealt with it, is is a change of the business plan. But again, that's not really a challenge. That's just, okay, we're not doing the full expansion this year. That will have to wait. But again, that's for me isn't really a big problem. It's just a change to the plan. I would say if there's one tip about issues and problems to someone who's just starting a business, for me, I found not looking too far ahead where the next paycheck's going to come from, because when I started and we had a couple of jobs in, that was great, and then I remember thinking, oh my god, in 2 months, in 3 months, no, there's nothing in the diary, I'll know. But then through, you know, the hard work the business people put in, you'll start to realise that actually changes. When you get to that month, you have work in. That might be through word of mouth, networking, marketing, whatever it is, that you'll have work come in. If you're good at what you do, and if your service is required, and if you're marketing yourself right, etc., then that will happen. So I tend to, planning is essential. And there are some businesses, for example, if you have a shop, you can have a sense of what your targets may be. But whereas we don't have product, we have a service, and people tend to, sometimes they book us very in advance, but often, we're booked month, 2 months in advance max. Sometimes people need us the next week. So we tend to kind of, I would say going into each month we're booked. But 2 months, 3 months ahead, never really. So it's learning to not be too, don't put yourself 2 months ahead, because it'll only make you feel bad.
Brilliant. Now, bringing it back to January last year, I know that you achieved a bit of an ambition of yours to write and direct your own film, Retreat, which began shooting in July last year, I think it was it? Tell us about that, Chris. What made you suddenly get on with it and start making this happen? And how did the idea for the film come about?
2019 was my 39th year, and I always wanted to make a feature film before I was 40. And I came close many times, and for many reasons it didn't happen. And I thought, you know what? This is the year it's going to happen. And I just really went for it, I just really went for it, and the business was in a place where it could operate. I had people who could do stuff for me. So if I had to take some time off to make the feature film, it was all fine. And a lot of our long-term clients know me, know my ambitions, know what I want for Wildwood Media, and that is for it to grow and to really, really offer the best team and the best services in video production that are around. And for me, that kind of goes hand in hand with feature filmmaking, with Wildwood Films, because Wildwood Films, as I say, makes high-end short films. As I say, it's made our first feature now, which is called Retreat, and we've done TV pilots as well. And all of that actually works alongside Wildwood Media. We've brought in the crews that we have used on these films to work on films for our corporate clients, and that's really exciting. And that's one of the reasons we can offer such a really interesting approach to video production, because we're actually using real film production people often. So yeah, I got lucky. Got funding was there, and we went and made Retreat. And say Retreat is a bit of a genre-bending film. I don't want to say too much. We're hoping to finish it. Lockdown, yes, has played around with that. Cinemas, film festivals, how we were going to complete the film. So that's all kind of delayed things, but not terribly so. People working remotely on it. The edit is locked. We finished filming in 2019, and at the moment, in August 2020. We're working on sound and having the music scored, and we're hoping to finish it up in late November, and then we'll have a complete feature film. And I'd love to see people being able to see it, and what that means I don't know yet, because who knows what's happening with COVID and how cinema is being dealt with. Not what I'm saying it's going to turn up on every multiplex screen, but whether it's going to go to festivals and what happens after that, that's what I want to happen. How it would happen, I don't know. But it was an amazing experience, and one that I hope we can do more. And I think that will only mean great things to our clients as well, actually, in the long run.
I'm absolutely delighted for you, Chris, that you've been able to achieve that and make that happen. And well, roll on November is what I say. I can't wait to see it. And is this then? Would you say then is this a sign of the future for the direction of Wildwood? More films? How do you see kind of the next year or two, and where's your focus going to be?
So yeah, I mean, is this the direction of Wildwood? Yes and no. Wildwood is going to keep expanding and growing and getting bigger and offering, more services and more varied team members, so we can have specialists in more fields. Wildwood Live, for example, has started up recently, where we've always offered live streaming, but now with the equipment we have and the people we have to do it, we can do this really quite specially. And we've actually done our first pay-per-view event for a client, where we did a Wesley Gonzalez, who's a fantastic musician with a great international following, and so we did him live from Paper Dress Vintage, which is in Hackney in London, really renowned music spot, and we did it, and we did the event there, which was fantastic experience. And so it's all about expanding and offering more. And so whether that's feature films or live streaming or TV work, it's all about increasing the brand, and then each one of those parts of the brand will be improved. And then, as I've said before, that can only benefit our clients in the end.
Well, Chris, it's fair to say it's just all of it is just fantastic. I mean, I'm really so enthused and excited for you in where the future lies, for you and Wildwood Media. You've got so much going on, the film side, the live side, and on the video production side. Yeah, again, thank you. I want to thank you publicly for all of the work and support that you've given the foundation over these last few years. It's been a genuine privilege to work with you, and you are someone who is just an absolute perfectionist. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it just shows just how much you care for what you create, and not just for us. I know the work that you put in for all of your clients is just far and beyond. So thank you for everything, mate. And finally, we've got to that last question. We always wrap with the podcast interview with a final question. What's the best advice, Chris, you've ever been given, and by who?
Well, look, thank you for what you say about the work we've done for street soccer. The work we've done for street soccer is, as I mentioned earlier, very special to us. Very, very special. We've met such great people, and the people who are on your courses, the young guys and gals who go through the academy, they are amazing, and so many of them that I speak to actually inspire me, and the confidence that you give them about what they can now do with their lives that they may not have had before would it's amazing to see. So if I was clever enough now and had planned, I would be saying that the best advice I'd got was from Keith Mabbott, and I would say something you've said. Unfortunately, I can't recall off the top of my head something you said, but you are truly inspirational, and the work you're doing in street soccer is amazing. So actually, I think it's not a line that has inspired me, it's people who inspire me. There's my heroes within the film industry, there's my heroes within business, and my heroes are often local businessmen as much as international, famous people. There's so many people that I see, and again, and that goes into the charity sector as well. Just incredible work, and I love working with charities, and Wildwood Media works a lot with charities and offers special services to them, because I think they deserve video production as much as anyone, and it's so important to get the messages out. So really, I just take inspiration as opposed to advice. I think it's more about inspiration from people, and seeing how people can deal with situations and can see bigger picture and focus on, when needed, the smaller picture, right, on the macro, what's right in front of them. And to say that these people might be many years younger than me on your course, who've had a hard life and are now shaping up to do great stuff because of what you've done. It could be because of the people working on street soccer, and then to say, and that's just street soccer. Then there's loads of people that I've met through you guys, and I've met on networking and through business and clients. And then I have people do great work with me, like Peter Sol, the business advisor. He's always inspiring me with his approach to stuff. So I would say it's just working with great people who are decent people, who want the best, not just for themselves, not just for their family, but want the best for the people around them and the people they can help. That's great, and that's what I would like myself to better do, and the work that I do, whatever part of Wildwood it's in, whatever client we're working for. I just hope it helps. So yeah, thank you very much for letting me come on today. It's my first podcast, and I love podcasts, so this is really great. So thank you for the opportunity, and just keep up the great work, guys. Cheers.
Well, you've made a fantastic debut here, Chris. Initially saying it's me where you got your best advice from. I don't know why I'm laughing, but no, that's immensely biased. But on a serious, what a great answer. Actually saying about it's the people in general who inspire you, taking inspiration from others to best shape your own present and future. I think the advice here then is, to work with and surround yourself with great people. Chris, love it. Thank you so much. That's it for today's show. You've listened here to the fantastic Chris Newberry, Managing Director of Wildwood Media. Be sure to tune in again soon for our next podcast interview.